Are you guys watching the OFR stream? Woo! I see. Get this light off my eyes. Holy cow! Welcome to Friday Night Live, and this has been interesting. If you're coming from OFR's channel, what a funny live stream that they actually still have going on right now. Uh, Jupiter One says almost ready, new espresso machine. Yeah, I'm debating on making some coffee, but I I'm not going. I do have a topic for tonight, and both dogs are coming in now. Um, I do have a topic which I'll wait a little while for everybody to filter over from OFR's live stream, but I figure I might as well go live and just start talking to you guys until they wrap up. But let me see, John, what's going on? Von Yinzer, hello. Good gracious, yeah. Um, that was it. It's funny. It's funny, but man, yeah. That's all I'm gonna say is woo. Hope everybody's doing well. It's been a long week for me at work, and I'm glad it's Friday, but the work's not done. I gotta go into work tomorrow, change oil on a coworker's car for them. Not a mechanic, it's a detailer. So, got that going on. Candy's here. Hello, Candy. So, I caught Candy in, I think Bob's stream. And it's like, Candy, I haven't seen you in forever. And she said she was swinging by, and I said it was a date. So, this is me and Candy's date night, just so you guys know. But Candy, it's good to see you. She says she has lots of work tonight. Candy probably has lots of work every night. But people were asking about Bruce, which is the Fahaka pufferfish in OFR's live stream. And we're actually going to feed him on this live stream. I have 10 cubes of frozen, it might be mysis shrimp, I believe. So he's going to get some mysis shrimp, and we're going to feed some of the other tanks some frozen foods live. You can see how I do that. It's super easy, very beneficial for the fish. And I feed the puffers, the guppies, the diamond tetras, and the Aquarium Co-op Vienna guppies that I got from Jimmy. I feed the mysis shrimp to them as well. And even the babies will pick at it and they'll get it, but it's a really good treat for all the tanks. I can put some in this tank for the Plecos, but the rainbows will devour it before it even gets to the bottom. But anyways, guys, why don't we go feed some fish first? And then I'll talk about what I want to talk about later. Come on, let's go feed some fish. Let's go. I click at her like a horse. That's how I get her to move. Go on. So we're going to walk out to the fish room. And we're going to stop and get some mysis shrimp on the way. But I hope everybody's doing well. And what is... Oh. So, can you see that? I thought it was dog poop on the floor. It's actually an Indian almond leaf that it looks like Charlotte got a hold of, which is for the shrimp tanks. I buy them in like 100 packs. B grade. If you guys are trying to save money, buy B grade almond leaves. It means that they're kind of like curled or they have cracks because they dry out. They're a lot cheaper than like premium or A grade. I'm going to turn off the air pump so it's not as noisy. Maybe. Okay. All right. So the mysis shrimp, what I do is I take whatever I'm going to feed frozen out of the freezer and I put in a glass bowl and, whoop, spilling. And I just let it thaw out at room temperature and then I feed the tanks with tweezers. So we're going to move some of the tanks, and the lights are actually turning off. They're on like a sunrise sunset, so they start dimming. I don't know where to set this. Go up there. And I got an algae bloom in my guppy tank, so I need to start changing the water out. Texas Fish Room, hello. Let me flip you guys around. All right. I Hate Super People said, OFR just ended. Thank you for letting me know. So here's the cubes. There's 10 cubes. I just kind of mix it up. I'm going to take a little pinch. I'm going to go with Bruce first. So where is he? There he is. He already knows what's coming. He's up here in front. I just let him sink and he'll go after him as it falls. Like right there. Sorry, there's a glare. Zoom out. So he'll eat that, and then the other ones that will fall down here, they usually land down here on the glass. He'll grab them in a bit, but you just got another one. So we're gonna move on. All right, this is a decent amount. This is going to the Diamond Tetras. They also love this. I get it back to the back. Hopefully this is not super blurry, but there they go. Once they see it, they go crazy. Sorry about the lighting, guys. The light is dimming. And this is just how I feed. I figure we do this live. Another big one. This will go in the guppies. And I'll get back to the chat here as soon as I get, as soon as I get done feeding all these tanks. The other guppy tank. We're going to switch behind us and we're going to hit the rainbows. Try not to make you dizzy. Let's go see the Vienna guppies. They're over here. Go munch on that. It's not very many pieces left on this guppy tank. See how cloudy that water got? That happened probably 2 days ago. Just need water, change that out. Zebra Daniel tank. And there's a, I believe there's one Odessa barb in there. Yeah, it's back there in the back left. Diamond Tetras again, because they're pigs. All right, we're going to move into the house. Moving our way back into the house. All the stuff. Let's go hit this guppy tank. Koi fish, hello. What I'm feeding the fish is frozen mysis shrimp. So it comes in like frozen cubes. And check out this tank, guys. So this is the Emerald Cories, and Jeremy Bosch said that this like real big girl is probably a I think he said salt and pepper, but it's ginormous. But I turned the light on that's built into this tank, and it's actually for growing coral. But check out the Christmas moss. Usually Christmas moss for me grows real bushy and real leggy. But because this light is so high power, it's actually keeping it really short and looks pretty cool in my opinion. But this Anubias that completely died off is now coming back. And I added some ram's horns. The back of the tank was completely green last week, and you can see they did a really good job on it so far. And with all that eating, they put a lot of eggs out, but that's okay. And the top of this tank has always got like hard water deposits because these cories will dart to the surface and splash, and it always puts water on the lid. There's some. So this tank I was really like just kind of bored with, but now that I got this high light on there, I'm starting to like it more. So I'm gonna put more time into getting some plants in here. But we're going to feed the Barbatus, which they look like they might be getting frisky already. You can see there's, oh, sorry guys, didn't mean to scare you. There's 4 or 5, there's 6 of them. But these guys, you start feeding them frozen foods. Charlotte, this is not for you. It really helps get them breeding. So they'll have that gone here in a few minutes. All right, moving. This tank has guppies and the pea puffer. This is the no filter. Let's see, where's the pea puffer? He hides really well. He's getting big. I mean, I've said he's been getting big, but he's a hoss. There's algae on the glass on the bottom part, but there's also a mono shrimp in here. There's a mono shrimp there, but there's one on that rock. All right. Let's feed the Bosemani. Parkinsoni. What I'll do is I'll go feed the 55 tank. I'll keep this and then go back out to the fish room in a little while and feed them again. See how quickly that's, you know, that's the smaller female too, but they just suck it down. All right. Put you guys back around. I'm going to hop in the chat. Looks like some people filed in. Okay. Candy, it's really good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. I was missing you. But I hope you don't work too hard on the weekends. I'm sure you work even if you're not supposed to, but Candy, everybody knows Candy. I don't even need to introduce her. Von Yinzer said, baby fish question. Are white clouds had more babies right now giving frozen Daphnia and super ground up extreme community crave? What might you suggest? As far as food, a fried food, you can use Aquarium Co-op. Aquarium Co-op has a fry food. Northfin's got a really good fry food. It might be a little expensive, but it's really good. That's what my rainbow breeder uses, is the Northfin. I'm trying to see if I have any. I might be sold out of it. Once they get bigger, I actually like using the Northfin beta food, the beta bits. It's just a smaller pellet. But if you're looking for something that's for a really small fry, the Co-op fry food or Northfin is what I would recommend. And then I would always recommend that just because feeding frozen, like I have cases, not cases anymore, but I have a case of frozen food. I have baby brine frozen, adult brine, mysis shrimp, bloodworms. So it's easy for me to feed frozen, but I don't do that every day. It's probably like let's say every 5 days I do the frozen, except for Bruce. Bruce is eating frozen exclusively right now. But that's what I would suggest. Chevy Fish said also First Bites. That's Hikari that I used to sell it. I've been kind of weaning off of Hikari Foods and switching over to Northfin Foods. But Hikari First Bites is actually really good too. And I had some out in the fish room, but I think I used it all on my shrimp tank. Scrolling. And remember, guys, if you have any actual questions, tag me so that way it shows up on my screen easier. I Hate Stupid People says, I have a second batch of new babies, another double drop of about 40, only about 4 to 5 days old. That's awesome. Patty's here. Hello, Patty. Candy hasn't been here, and she's dropping the links like crazy. It's Candy, you amaze me. Samsung True Series, how does the pea puffer do with guppies? They can get a bit rowdy. So the guppy tank, I totally expect there to be fry losses, but that tank, being it was like no filter, and the light runs, let's say the light's on about 11 hours a day. It's not a high powered light, it's a built-in Fluval light, but it's enough to get algae growing. And with so many guppies in that tank, there's plenty of nutrients in the water to allow that algae to grow. And it was growing out of control, and then some pond snails got introduced into that tank through some plants, which is, it's normal. Plants are going to have snails. And they just like exploded. So when you have some pond snails and they have an endless supply of food, the population just exploded to where there had to be hundreds, if not thousands, of snails in that tank. So that puffer went from a solo tank, he was in a 10-gallon, completely by himself, eating ram's horns. I would just feed him ram's horn snails, and that's all he knew. I put him into that community tank, and he legit, guys, doubled in size. He didn't really get longer, he just got thicker. He definitely doubled his weight for sure, which I'm glad to see that he was eating as much as he wanted without relying on me to put snails in there every day. And I've never seen him go after a guppy yet. Now, you know, it's possible he's eating fry, but I haven't seen it. And there's not very many. There's a few guppies in that tank that could be breeding, but they're all still fairly small. But it's a tank that I need to get rid of in the future anyways. So if he can kind of control that population for me, that'd be great, because that tank I'm actually going to end up selling. It's a Fluval, I forget the series, but it's a Fluval like 25-gallon tank. I think Metalhead Prime wants to buy it, but you know, that could have been just what he was talking about last week. But anyways, I'm not ready to sell it yet. I still got to figure out what to do with the fish in that tank. You know, the guppies I can move to any of my tanks, but the pea puffer, you know, I'll have to figure out where to put them. You know, I could put them in with the diamond tetras and he'd leave the diamond tetras alone, but I don't want to stress the puffer out with him being in with those diamond tetras that are really big and also very active swimmers. They're very aggressive at eating. I tried to show that tonight, but it's working. And I think if that tank was bringing for a profit, then he wouldn't be in that tank. Like, that puffer will never go in with the Vienna guppies. He'll, you know, won't go in with my Cobra Tux Cross guppy tank, which is the algae, the green water tank right now. But you know, I'll figure it out where to put him, and you know, maybe one day he'll end up in this tank. You know, I don't know yet, but he'll go somewhere. But I gotta get rid of that tank because that's where the 200-gallon tank's going to go. And I was pricing out this week paneling for the garage because I need to take the drywall down, insulate the garage walls, because the garage is separate. The garage isn't separate from the house. The exterior walls of the garage aren't insulated. And I don't know, I was assuming that was by design because that's not a living space. They didn't need to insulate it. But it's also possible it used to be insulated because the previous owner took the drywall down and put up like pegboard. so you can see like through the pegboard into the wall and see that there's no insulation. So maybe he took the insulation out to use the pegboard. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing it probably wasn't insulated because it wasn't a living space. But anyways, I got to tear all that stuff down, insulate it, and then get a heater going. I already have the gas line in the garage, but I need to add like a tap to it, like a valve, to be able to run a heater out in the garage, which would be super sweet to be able to use the natural gas for heat versus electricity, which I'm using now in the fish room. That will help cut down my bills quite a bit. And then being that the 200 is going to be a discus tank, that's going to have heaters in it, and that's actually going to be a fun build because I'm going to show how to run redundant heaters that are underpowered but perfect for in case of a failure. So what I mean by that is, let's say I need 500 watts of heat for that tank, and we're just throwing a number out there. I'll probably actually need more than 500 watts for a 200-gallon tank that's in the garage because the temperature is going to be lower than in the house. Well, let's say I need 500 watts. Well, I could get two 300-watt heaters, but instead of doing two 300-watt heaters, I'm going to do 5 100-watt heaters. And obviously that's more money because I'm buying 5 instead of 2, but here's the theory that's in my head that I think makes sense, and being a mechanic, it makes sense. So there's videos on YouTube. I think IFG just released a video like a week ago about one of his tanks that the heater stuck on and it cooked his fish. So if a 100-watt heater kicks on, even if it runs full bore, all 100 watts all the time, that 100-watt heater will not overheat a 200-gallon tank. If a 300-watt heater sticks on, maybe it could overheat a tank if it ran nonstop and the garage was warmer that day. So my theory is if one heater sticks on, maybe one of the 5 100 watts won't even have to turn on at all. The downside is you'd have to really monitor to make sure that, if one heater sticks on, you still need to fix it by removing it, because you don't want it to like eventually fail and break. Because I've lost fish due to a heater physically breaking. That's why they sell the titanium ones instead of glass, is the glass will break, water gets into the circuit board, and it leaches out some sort of chemical into the water. And I don't know if it's from like the solder, if it's from the actual fiberglass printed circuit board, or the metal that's used inside for the coils. Something inside of a heater has leached out, and it actually is this little cube tank right here, and it killed my betta fish. So to avoid that, I want to run redundant small heaters. If one sticks on, I feel like the most failure is going to be a thermostat sticking on. And if it sticks off, like it never kicks on, I still have 400 watts of heat working versus, losing half of the 600 watts. So if you had 300, you lost one heater. If you only got 300 watts, it might not be enough. So that's how my mind's working on that. I do plan on doing a remote monitoring system. I'm going to use an Android tablet mounted on the wall inside the house that's going to be connected to like a Coral View system that's going to monitor TDS, water temperature, and water level in the sump, and can also watch things like water flow to make sure the pump's working, because it might not be as visible from inside the house as it is seeing like the air working in this tank. So I'm trying to make sure everything is redundant as possible, and also that Coral View system has built-in water leak detection that you can run, so I can monitor if the sump starts leaking or the tank, anything like that. Fish and fluoro lurking and while doing water changes, that's usually what I do with most other channels. That's what I was doing during Bob's Theme Thoughts live stream, which I forget what day Bob goes live. I want to say Mondays, but it feels like that wasn't 4 days ago. Matt F with the super chat. Matt's all about the $6.14 super chat. If you're wondering why such an odd number, It's because my website 614fish.com, and that's kind of the brand of like the 614 fertilizer and stuff like that. So he started the trend of the 614 super chat. But Matt, I appreciate you super chatting every week pretty much and starting a new trend. Thank you so much. But tonight I want to talk about, hey, we got a new member. I can't even, it's like so dark. I hate stupid people. I had to highlight it to see what the name was on my screen. It's like the weirdest color on my screen. It's hard to read. But thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate it. I hate stupid people. Send me, I think I should be able to look you up, but email me your address and I'll send you some of these ONIP tabs to try out. That was the thing I said, in previous live streams. If you become a member, I'll mail you these new version of the ONIP tabs to let me know what you think. I'm still up in the air. I'm liking the spirulina less than the original, not the original, but the regulars. But I haven't used these enough yet. The regulars, I'm still on the fence. Like, they definitely don't work as good as the originals, but I still think it's a good food. So, Candy's even got my email handy. Like, Candy, you're a beast. You really are. But yeah, email me your address and I'll send you some ONIP tabs to try out. And all I'm asking in return is let me know what you think. Yeah, because I don't want to bring them on. Like, I have a box of them, and it was like right at the end of production of the natural or the originals to the natural versions. So I tried to get one last order in, and it ended up being all the new stuff. So I've been sitting on them, not selling them, but then I started using them. I'm like, they're not terrible. They're definitely not as good. They're not as good as the originals. I will say that. But I don't think they're bad. But tonight, one of the topics, and I got Vanna in my face, is I talked about trying to make some root tabs. I currently use the co-op root tabs. And you guys know I like making things. I like tinkering, I like engineering, and building. So I was like, you know what? I want to try to make my own. So last live stream, I mentioned about getting the pill capsules, and so I made a handful. I'm not going to try to grab them all at once, but I made some. All right, so it's not just throwing fertilizers in. I actually broke everything down to a cool little sheet with everything that's in this one root tab. I even did graphics, and then that's they're called compounds or complexes. So it's like CSM plus B is a complex of multiple things. These are the three main complexes I use. But on the back, I even went into what's in all the complexes. Like, I'm trying to be thorough on it, but now it's just testing. So I'm going to use the sword plants in the background as testing to see, do these work? Or is it a load of crap? I mean, it's the same dry fertilizers that I use to treat tanks anyways, so I know it's going to work. But is it going to work good, or is it going to make a difference? But we'll see. And this dog, you guys, she just needs attention 24/7. And the other one is like right below me. But yeah. So I'm happy to say I will be testing these root tabs, and then my buddy Mike that breeds the rainbow fish, who's a member, I'm sure he's in here lurking, or maybe not, I don't know. I think I'm going to give him some to try on his Amazon swords, because he was here this week. He bought a bunch of stuff with his stimulus check from me, which was awesome. Thank you, government, for giving out stimulus checks and having him buy stuff. But no, he actually bought a new tank. He picked up a 150-gallon tank, and he needed to set it up real quick, and he needed to buy substrate, so he bought like Eco Complete and some Fluval Stratum, because he's also a plant guy. And he mentioned that my swords had like better colors than his. Like, his were really like a light green or bright green, where mine were like a real deep green. So I want to give him some of these root tabs so he can try them out, and we'll see what his results are, because I could just like slap a sticker on this and be like, here you guys go, root tabs, but if it doesn't work, it's crap. So I want to make sure they work, and then we'll see, you know. The thing with plants is it's not going to be like a night and day difference like overnight, so I'm going to have to test it for a while, but we'll get there. It'll be something fun. The thing that sucks is packing pills by hand, and this sounds terrible, government, if you're listening. I'm talking about fertilizer pills for the aquarium, but I know they make machines. They have like little hand machines, and they actually have like bigger machines that will do it. But I have a formula right now. My formula makes 6 of these at a time, so I need to scale that up to be able to, you know, make 50 of them at a time. But it should be kind of fun. I hate stupid people. The 614 super chat. Thank you so much. Didn't say anything, just dropping some love. Thank you guys so much for your support. I do appreciate it. I didn't see, which is probably good. We haven't had any conversation about OFR's live stream tonight. Mike said it takes root tabs about 3 weeks to show any effects on plants from my observation. So there we go. But Mike, next time I see you, I'll make you some root tabs, and the formula for this is 1 a week, is what I had formulated to. So adding it once a week, but that is for water. Oh, sorry, girl. Don't freak out. For the water column. So I'll have to play with it and see how it works under the substrate. But for water column, it's 1 a week is what I have this targeted as. So I'll have to play with it. Von Yunzer says, I would love to try them on my raggedy looking Amazon swords. Von Yunzer, it sounds like you're asking to be a product tester. And since you're a member, I'll send you some. I guess that's the best way I can give back to you guys for being members, is just like sending you stuff to try. I don't have that many members, so it's easy for me to do. If I had like, 500 members, I couldn't do that because I would go broke in a heartbeat. But I like having a small group right now, so it's easy for me to send stuff to people. But yeah, I'll send some to you, and if anybody else that's a member has some root plants, root feeding plants, let me know. Really, 2233, hello. It's good seeing you guys. So I was expecting to have this whole conversation be about OFR's live stream. I was cracking a joke about Josh being a good guy, and then that went way off to left field, and I was like, oh my gosh. And even Josh was like, holy cow. So yeah, that was I sat there with my hand over my mouth like, oh my gosh, holy cow. But I laughed at it, so it's not the response I was expecting from Big Rich. But he started talking about Josh's birthday, and I had no idea where that was coming from, but yeah. So IHSP says, yeah, Rich was roasted, but it was good to see him let loose and relax once in a while. It really is. The diehard OFR fans know he works hard, but he really does. And I feel like, Friday, he's mentioned this, and Josh has mentioned this before, but Friday night really is his night to kick back and relax with all of you, just like I'm doing right now. It's a lot of fun to interact. And, when I first started my YouTube channel, I never thought I would be doing live streams like this, talking to you guys, and having, there's 57 people here right now, interacting with 57 people. I never thought that'd be a thing. And looking back on my early videos, I was not good with camera, and I still am not good with the camera. I find myself saying a lot, and I'm sure you guys probably notice it too. My brain works faster than my mouth will talk. So I'm thinking ahead of what I'm trying to say, and then I find myself saying what do I say next? And I don't notice it until I edit the video, and then I play the full version, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I sound stupid. But, you know, right there. So, it's just me, and you guys will just have to live with that because I'm not changing that. If I could, I would, but I can't. So, Big Rich does really. Let me get back on topic. Big Rich really does work really hard, and I feel like the thing, not only working hard around the rescue, but it's the time schedule that really I think takes a toll on him, with the getting up at like every 2 hours. Um, or I think it's every 3 hours at night he gets up to, check on her or feed her, whatever he has to do, and then during the day it's every 2 hours. So you're on that schedule of, you gotta do something. I know myself, it's hard for me to wake up, and especially when I'm tired. It's like, oh, like I gotta get up for work, and I can only imagine getting up, doing your stuff, getting back in bed. Maybe you can fall back asleep right away. Maybe you can't. I don't know. But then, an hour later, you gotta get up again. And eventually, I mean, he's been doing that for a long time now. Eventually, that's just gotta wear you down. So it's nice to see him let loose. And my only fear is that there's going to be newer people to their channel that's going to see him and be like, man, like, what's up with this dude? Like, and he's really an awesome guy, and he does so much for Tracy and for the rescue and for everybody, really. But it is nice to see him have a good time. Patty says, I never noticed about the thing, but now that you mentioned it, lol. Yeah, it's just a thing that I've always been not a speech person. And it's weird that I'm doing YouTube, and I'm doing YouTube videos where I'm talking a lot. It's not like a nature video YouTube where it's just like me recording, I edit it and throw it on there. It's, interaction, slightly educational maybe, more entertainment. But so now I'm going to catch it every time I say it. Growing up, I was terrible with speeches. Dang it, guys, you got me all flustered now. I was terrible with speeches, and in college, I actually had to take a speech class as part of the curriculum and get in front of a class and do a full speech. And I remember my first speech in front of class. It was on a topic of anything we wanted. And I was going to college for IT. I did graduate, got a degree in IT. Speech class was my computer class and like vet techs together, which was a terrible combination. The vet techs, I think, was actually in like an all-female class. There might have been like one or two guys in it, if that. And then my computer class was all dudes except for one or two females. So it was like exact opposites. And we had a lot of characters in our class. A lot of people that really, I'm surprised, even paid money to go to college, because you would never know, you would never guess that they were paying money for these classes because they didn't do anything in it. It was like being in high school. They would just sit through class, play on their phone, and that was it. I'm like, you realize you're going to be in debt for this. Like, you might as well try to get the degree. But there was like verbal fights between the two classes and inside of these other classes we had. But my first speech was on a hookah. If you guys don't know what a hookah is, it's basically a device to smoke tobacco. Think of, like, it's got the vase with water, and you got the big metal decorative stem, and then it's got these hoses. It might just have one hose or two hoses or four hoses. It uses like a little charcoal to heat the tobacco. It's actually molasses, and like sometimes there's fruits, but it's a very smooth, relaxing like tobacco basically. Well, I was really into hookahs back in the day, and I had friends that were smoking marijuana and like doing drugs. Hookah was my thing. One of my best buddies, Ash, actually got me into it, and we would just sit out on his patio and have a hookah, have some beers, like during summer, maybe sit in a hammock. It was just a relaxing time. So I did a speech on that. So my intro, introduction, you had to talk about what your speech was. I'm like, whatever, I'm doing it on hookah. and then questions were immediately, what do you smoke in that? The whole insinuating that, smoking drugs out of it. But, so yeah, I mean, that was my first big speech thing I had to do for credit too. But, this thing, I never fixed it. Sam Singer Series said hookah is from the Middle East, I believe. Yes. Although traditionally women do not smoke hookah in public. Patty says hookah is a nicotine bong. See, you can get it with or without nicotine, and I don't think any of the stuff we had nicotine in it. Let me see where I'm at in the chat. Chevy Fish, thank you for dropping the membership link. I appreciate it. And my chat went to the bottom. I gotta scroll back up. Von Yuns here with the super chat, the 614 super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. Thanks in advance. I will fully document progress and the results. Yeah, I mean, if you want to take pictures with your phone of like day 1, root tab, day 7, day 14, day 21, like basically every week, and we can see. If you got more than one sword plant, it'd be sweet if you could do like a side-by-side. Like I root tabbed this one, I didn't this one, and see there's like a big noticeable. So that's what I'm going to do. So, you can't, can you guys like move some of this stuff? So these are the small sword plants I got. There's one right here, one here, and there's a couple over there. The two in the back were like for the display, but these ones are the ones I sell. I just plant them in my tanks to grow them while they're being wait to be sold. Anyways, I think this one in the middle is doing a little bit better than this one. And here's my theory. From here over, there's a top on this tank. I think the light, this plant here in the center is getting more light than this one in the corner. It's being blocked a little bit. So I think this one's getting more light, and that's why it's doing a little bit better. It might have been just a little bit bigger anyways to begin with. But the fact is, this plant is bigger. So what I want to do is root tab this one over here and watch and monitor, does this growth, surpass this one? Because root tabs aren't just about growth, it's about adding minerals to the plant that the plant could have a deficiency in. Just because a plant's growing doesn't mean it's getting all the nutrients it needs. That's when you can start getting like holes in the plants. Plants can start turning yellow, translucent. There's a lot of things as far as deficiencies go. And let me see. I don't have it on my desktop. I have it on my phone. Aquarium Co-op. Candy, if you're still here and you happen to have the link available, feel free to post it. If you're not here, no big deal. If you are here and you don't want to do it, no big deal. But Aquarium Co-op actually has a really good article on plant deficiencies. It's got really good pictures in it, and it helps to lead you in the right direction as far as what the deficiency is of the plant. If the plant's like yellow, but it's got like dark veins in the plant, it could be this. It could be an iron deficiency or calcium. It's actually a good article. If anybody actually happens to have that link handy, go ahead. You know what? You might have to be a moderator to post a link. Let me see if I can just search it and I'll post it, because it is a good article. I think you guys should save it, print it out if you're real big into plants. Plant. Yep, alright, I got it. Let me copy this over. I'm going to post this into the chat. At your leisure, if you're into plants, check out this link. I just posted it. It's nutrient deficiencies, why your aquarium plants are dying. It says it's a 5-minute read. It's totally worth reading. The pictures are worth 1,000 words. Sam Singer Series, let me see. CO2. I'm trying to read up. Matt S says I'm about ready to put root tabs from Co-op in my 90-gallon tank. I'll try yours too if you want. Yes. Matt, I'm terrible with addresses and getting everybody's stuff together. Email me your address and I'll send you some. Especially, I mean, you're a member, so for sure. Xanadudu's here. Hello, buddy. Happy Friday. Much love to you all. Good to see you. Trying to scroll through the chat, guys. Scrolling. CO2, I think they do well without. I don't know if that was a question to a side chat or to me. The only tank I've ever ran CO2 on was actually the 25-gallon, the Pea Puffer tank. And that was even like a full CO2 like tank system. That was the homemade CO2 using citric acid and baking soda, I believe it was. It was probably 2 years ago. It was like when I first got that tank. And the reason I did that, I have paintball tanks here, and I could have just bought a regulator and did it. So buy a regulator and have CO2, or build a pop bottle CO2 maker. I'm definitely going to build something. It was fun to build, and I don't know if it really worked because that's when I first started putting plants in that tank, and it was the first plants I ever bought. It was like the Java Fern, which I've told you guys before, I'm terrible at growing Java Fern. For whatever reason, it's the most hardiest plant according to everybody in the world, and I suck with it. But, so I did it on that tank, and it was fun. But the thing is, when you make your own solution, and it's the whole chemical reaction or whatever the reaction is to make the CO2 gas, eventually you gotta change that out. So it's like, I think, this was 2 years ago, guys, so I'm trying to remember. I think I was getting like 2 weeks out of it. 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And after doing that for like 2 months, 3 months, I got tired of changing the solution out every single time. So eventually I stopped. And my Java Fern wasn't doing well anyway, so I'm like, I don't really notice a difference, so I'm going to take it off. Now that I got tanks with a bunch of plants, I should try it again. And, maybe that could be a comparison video down the road, a side-by-side homemade CO2 versus like a CO2 canister, which one does better. And the thing with CO2 is obviously, you have the CO2 diffuser in the bottom of the tank. You got your bubble counter on it, and if you're running like a bubble a second or 3 bubbles a second, it pumps the CO2 in the tank, it diffuses out into those little micro bubbles, they float up to the surface. I know the water's grabbing that CO2 content. That's how it works. Visually, it'd be like looking at this and saying this is CO2. Visually, the mechanical part of me is thinking, you're wasting so much CO2 with it just going straight up to the surface and popping. Like, I feel like the best way to get CO2 in your water is to have it dwell in the water as long as possible. So I thought about doing like a 3D print, like stair step system that, is really slow, gradual inclination. Something that doesn't need to be very wide, but if it went from the bottom to the top and that bubble had to go back and forth a crap ton of time before it hit the top, I feel like you could really reduce the amount of CO2 you're physically using to get your results. And then I know that people run, I don't know the name, like what people call it, but it's like if you got a pop bottle, and you basically cut the bottom off the pop bottle and you stick it in your tank, and then you take a CO2 line underneath and you fill up the pop bottle, it diffuses out over time. I feel like that's way more efficient at using your CO2. Now, I know you can make the argument CO2 is really cheap to refill a 5-pound bottle. It costs you $5 or whatever. So just run the diffuser. But I feel like you'd just be wasting money in the long haul when you could have it diffuse out. I don't know. Drop a comment what you think about that. Like, maybe that's just getting too far down the wormhole about CO2. Dougie says, trouble with Java ferns is they are so slow growing, everything else eats the fruits before they get a chance. Yeah, they are super slow growing, and the Java fern that I'm talking about is actually from the co-op. It was my first plant, my first live plant I ever bought. I bought Java fern and like a Nubius, and I still have both. The Nubius is in the 75 gallons. Somehow it survived the cichlids and the goldfish, and I actually glued it to PVC, a little PVC piece of pipe, because I didn't have a rock at the time to attach it to, but I had PVC. So what I did is I wrapped the actually I didn't even wrap it. I glued it to a little piece of PVC, and then I stuck the PVC in the sand to hold it in place, and it survived. It hasn't gotten like any bigger in the 2 years or however long that tank's been set up. It hasn't gotten any bigger. It's literally the same size. Hasn't died. It just, that light's not powerful enough on that 75 to really get that Nubius to thrive. And I don't, maybe it's a, well, it might be a petite. I can't remember if I bought like a Nana Petite, or there's so many variants of Anubias. And with a lot of them that are the classic roundish style, it could be sold as like a petite, but then there's like petite and then Nana Petite, and then depending on the light source is how it's going to grow. The beginning of the stream I've shown that Christmas moss is completely different than any other tank I have. With that coral light is really, it's like having a carpeting plant. If you don't have enough light, the plant doesn't carpet. It wants to grow towards the light, and that's how that moss normally is for me. It just kind of grows out into like a big bush. This is staying very short and like thick, so it's almost like carpeting. But now I'm sidetracked. I don't even know where I was going with that. CO2 and light and plants. Java fern. I'm back. The Java fern's growing. Like, it's definitely getting longer. It's just not. It never looks good for me. Every once in a while, that plant might start shooting off babies, which is usually a sign of like it's stressed out. And there's plenty of nutrients in that tank. It's a no filter tank. It gets feed fairly heavily for all the guppies and everything. And it's just, I think it's the lighting. I think when the algae starts really taking over that tank, it might start cutting the lighting down, or algae could be growing on the leaves, which is also not helping the cause. But it's growing, but I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with that plant. But yeah. Oh, my chat jumped again. Sorry, guys. IHSP dropping the link, 614fish.com. And so that's another thing I want to talk about is shipping. I've gotten a few emails about when I was expecting on shipping again. And that was a thing in Bob's Theme Fonts chat this week. I asked him when he would plan on shipping again. And well, Bob's actually moving, so he's not shipping. But he said if he were, it would be, he said last year he started shipping like the third week of January. So I originally told you guys it'd be mid to end of January. It's looking like I was lying, and it's probably going to be now into February. And here's why. So the original reason I stopped shipping completely was because I ran out of heat packs, and the post office was coming up to the holiday season, which is always a bad time to ship fish because of delays. Well, because of COVID, there's even more delays. Massive amount of people are shipping online now, and also because of like workers getting COVID, and they have to do the 14-day quarantine. They're short-staffed. Anyways, I bought heat packs. Let me pull this up. Get a drink of water. These heat packs, I couldn't find them for a long time. Then my number one guy that I always buy from didn't have the 72 hours in stock, but he had 40-hour ones. I'm like, you know what? Let me buy a case of 40-hour ones because I don't even know if these will be available in the future. Either way, I need to get some heat packs. If I have to wait until it's, not blistering cold, then I'll wait, but I need some sort of heat pack. So I bought a case of 40-hour heat packs. I ordered them December 21st, which was 2.5 weeks ago. He is located in Missouri, which is technically 3 states away from me. I looked it up today for this live stream to give you some stats. He is 490 miles away. It's a 7.5 hour drive. I'm in Columbus, Ohio. They have been in Columbus, Ohio since December 30th. So it took over a week to go 3 states away. Then it's been sitting in my city for over a week. So this is my example of why I'm not shipping right now. I could, contact the post office and be like, hey, this is here. Can I go pick it up? I'm not really stressed because even if I had them right now, I still wouldn't ship. But here's the thing. 2.5 weeks. Like, if I would have shipped a fish, even if I shipped shrimp, which are super hardy to ship, especially like tank bread, they're in a breather bag. 2.5 weeks is too long. It's just too long. So, I typically, with my fish orders, I ship like really big bags. I try to get a lot of water volume and a lot of oxygen volume versus small stuff. I just need to start working the sizes down because I know Dan's Fish sells the small bags. Like he individually bags fish, or like the bags are really short, and that helps keep the boxes smaller. I need to eventually get to that point. I'm just not comfortable with that. I tried it like a year ago, and I killed some fish, so I'm not comfortable with that yet. I've had really good success with big volumes of water, big volumes of oxygen. Well, that usually ends up being a big box, and when it's a big box, it's expensive, and I usually ship those UPS because they're cheaper, and I've had better luck with no delays. Well, I don't even trust UPS right now, although UPS has been really good to me. I just don't trust shipping fish right now. I did get an email from somebody locally today about buying shrimp. If you're local to me, you want to buy fish or shrimp, send me an email and we can work that out. Everything on the website says not in stock because that was just the easiest way for me to exclude that from shipping. Is just to put everything as not in stock, or maybe it just doesn't even show the fish now. It might just show up blank. It might just be blank. But either way, it was the easiest way for me to get it off the website so nobody would accidentally buy it. And then I'd have to email you, say like, look, I'm not shipping, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. Let me see where I'm at in the chat. I'm sorry, guys, if you have any questions. Vanyinzer says, mine are full of holes, not growing as well as they should, so I have to try something. I've been running the 614 fur, but even though it helps, they need more. I'm guessing you're talking about the swords. If that's the case, yeah, the swords are heavy root feeders. The main bushy plant in the back, which would be like a jumbo size if I were to sell that on the website, it's got like some leaves are dying back, and I leave them. So they'll see, I don't know how much is showing up. Right below where that super red is, there's a leaf that's dying. I think you can see it on YouTube. It's like the really dark stem. You could cut that out, but I like leaving stuff to basically die in the tank because that sword's going to be absorbing that nutrients. So yeah. But they, I did hit the jumbo ones with the co-op root tabs, but it's been a long time, so I know they need more. But that's why I want to try these little dudes out. And I was guessing, so on pill sizes, there's all sorts of pill sizes out there, guys. I actually forget what size I ordered. Try and open this up. I try to get smaller pills. I'm like, the smaller they are, the less air that's in them, the less likely they would float. Um, so I'm hoping I can find a good size ratio of nutrients being able to be packed into it. I don't even know how to hold this to do a size comparison. So the green one is obviously the co-op. The red one is the one I'm making, and I gotta try it out and see. You know, it's just trial and error. You gotta see if it works or not. It might not work, and maybe I need to get a bigger one to be able to put more stuff in it. But we'll see. That's the fun. To me, that's the fun part, is testing stuff out. Metalhead SC, when do you think you're going to get some more tank heaters, and do they make any Bluetooth versions? I don't know, because I'll have to see about restocking hard goods. I was planning on not doing hard goods anymore, as far as all this stuff you see behind me. It really takes a lot of capital to keep things in stock that might sit here for a long time. So like the Sickly Gold, which are all the bags over here, right there, those were selling like hotcakes. I kept stocking them, and then like they died off. So now I'm sitting on, you know, this is like the pick and pull. Sorry, I'm getting notifications. The pick and pull stuff. But what you don't see is there's another room. It's my third. This is the second bedroom. My third bedroom is full of cases of products. So I might be sitting on $1,000 worth of cichlid food. And the thing with Cichlid Gold is right there's, you can't really see it. Let me tilt you guys. There's 2 different bag sizes, plus then there's different pellet sizes. So for every pellet size, there's 2 different bag sizes. There actually might be more than 2 bags, but I only stock like the big bag and the medium bag. I probably got in inventory between this room and the next room. There's easily, and I could look up the number and know for sure through like the software, but there's probably $10,000 worth of fish crap. Like fish products, fish food, filter boxes, medications. Like, that wall right there is medications. There's probably $3,000 of medications on that wall. And what sucks is, you know, I'm using my income from my day job to fund all this. So what that's doing is it's causing a strain on my free money to do like the Hawaii thing tonight. If you guys caught that in the OFR, I dropped a hint. I said OFR. I heard a rumor that OFR is moving to Hawaii, and then Big Rich is like, no, Josh wants to go there. Josh actually invited me to go to Hawaii with him on his vacation, for me to take my vacation at the same time, go hang out. We're really good friends. I really appreciate Josh with helping me out and stuff. But the fact is, I just don't have the money to buy a plane ticket to Hawaii, a hotel room, and do all the stuff while they're on vacation. And you know, I respond to him. I'm like, dude, you know, thanks for the offer. I would go. I just can't. You know, I just can't afford to take that vacation. So, you know, running the fish business I sank a ton of money into it. So that's why I've been really dialing back. You know, the wall's getting thinner and thinner on products. Because the business plan right now is to just sell out what I have and reevaluate which direction I'm going. It's probably going to turn into mainly only stuff I breed and plants. Plants have always been a good seller. I love plants. You know, having them in the tanks. Somebody buys one, it's easy for me to pull it out of a tank, ship it off. So realistically, my answer to that question is I probably won't be getting more heaters in. I would love to, but I probably won't. If I were to continue doing all the hard stuff, I would probably drop Hikari Foods and switch to Northfin, Hikari does have some really good foods. I really like their guppy food. I like their first bites. The Vibra bites are really good. I'm not a big fan of the Hikari wafers, the algae wafers. They always make my tank really cloudy. I like the kelp wafers from Northfin. The Northfin fry food's really good. The community food's really good. The Northfin beta, I was about to say beta bites. Beta bits is really good, which are these guys right here, the black and red. I actually love those for guppies. You know, fish foods are, you know, they might say for beta or it might say for this. They might be targeted, but they're still really good fish foods. I love the size of the beta bits for guppies. They're really, really good. And the other thing with Hikari, to be like a certified dealer, they want access to all the books. I forget what their thing was, like once a month. I think they want access to my books. I said, no way. And what happened with that, and that way that came a thing, was I put their foods on sale because they weren't selling, and when I put them on sale, they were below the minimum advertised price, and they have like software that scans the internet for their products, which is going to be probably just based off the SKUs, and it saw it, and then they contact me saying, hey, you're breaking our policy, you're selling too cheap. And I was like, sorry, like I didn't think about the sale price knocking it below minimum. And typically a lot of the prices are already at minimum anyways. But I just, you know, like, hey guys, we're running a sale. Well, got me in trouble with them. And they were like, you gotta correct it or we're going to blacklist you. And if you want to be an official Hikari licensed dealer, I have to provide them access to my books. And I said, no. I'm like, you don't need to be in my personal information about my business. So that's another reason I started getting more into the Northfin, bringing them on, testing them. And the main move to Northfin was actually Mike, who's in the chat. He's my rainbow breeder. That's what he uses on his fry. And that's where the Parkinsonite come from. You know, these guys were raised on Northfin. The proof's in the pudding. Like, after seeing what it does, that was it. Let me scroll through the chat, see what's going on. Where am I at? Suan, hi Steven, just want to say that me and the Hubs are here weekly to watch and support you. Don't really comment much, but we are here. Well, thank you for watching. I know there's people here that are here all the time that watch and they don't really talk. I appreciate you guys watching. I really do. And I'm hoping to make a push on this whole garage thing. Oh, and my dehumidifier pump took a crap. So I'm going to do a video on the second channel. I did start the second channel last week. I made one video I put on there. If you guys are interested in subbing to that, feel free to sub. It helps me out. By the way, it's not fish related, so don't hit the notification bell. Here's the first time a YouTuber's ever said don't hit the notification bell. If you don't like how to mechanical stuff, like the first video is I replaced a starter on a BMW. If you find that stuff interesting, hit the notification bell. If you don't, just sub so I get that sub for YouTube. But don't hit the notification bell, and that way you won't get notified when I upload videos. I'm grabbing the link to the other channel right now. Which there was actually a issue with the name. So the channel name is The Everyday Mechanic. Well, there's another channel called Everyday Mechanic. So when you search The Everyday Mechanic, his channel actually comes up first. He's got like 1,000 subs. I have 9 subscribers. So it's going to be like strictly mechanical stuff. If it translates to this channel somehow, I will post it on both. I'm posting a link right now. Hit that sub button for me if you will. And if you want to see content on that, hit the notification bell. If you're not interested in that stuff, just hit the sub button. It helps me out. Thanks. But no, so where I'm going with that is my dehumidifier in the fish room. Let's go walk out there. I'll show you. just since I'm mobile tonight, we'll go mobile. It's gonna be my number 2 video. So I kind of cheated. So here's an insight, guys. Here's that almond leaf that Charlotte got hold of that I thought was dog poop. I just thought it was dog poop again, because you walk through a house and you just know what's where, and then all of a sudden you see something brown on the floor. You're like, which Charlotte had an accident in like over a year, which is awesome. Anyways, dehumidifier has a tube that runs up to the drain right there, right? Well, every day it starts giving me an error about the pump. I need to turn the air back on out here, by the way. Whoever was supposed to remind me didn't remind me, which was nobody. Setting you guys down while I plug this in. So yeah, the dehumidifier started giving me this error, and I realized I didn't know why, actually. Because the thing with this dehumidifier, hang on. These fish, am I on the right thing? They look huge in this camera. These are rainbow fish from Oddball Aquatics. So when she went with me to get, I know the glare sucks, guys, I'm sorry. When she went with me to get the 200-gallon cube, she brought me a bunch of rainbow fry, and these are her rainbow fry. Sorry, I'm seeing fish I want to show you guys. There's that baby melanite Cory I hatched out. There's 2 of them in here. Up there's the other one. They're getting bigger. They're looking good. But anyways, the second YouTube channel, the video is going to be about how to fix a dehumidifier pump. Because guess what I did? It wasn't working, so I YouTubed the code. They said the code is your tank's not emptying. The thing with this dehumidifier is the tank's always full. That pump only works once the tank's full. So I didn't realize it wasn't working. I thought the tank was full. Once I realized what was happening, I took the sucker apart and I diagnosed it. It's a pump. The pump's bad. The pump gets power, the pump works, it just doesn't pump. So something internal, like the propeller spinning, but maybe like the fins are broken off. The pump's very tiny, you can't take it apart to service it. And there's like a 3-year manufacturer warranty. So I gotta get a hold of the manufacturer and see if they'll send me a pump without me taking it to a certified repair place and be like, look, I already diagnosed it, it needs a pump. So I took it, long story short, I took it apart to see what it was, diagnosed it. Now I'm going to I already put it back together. I'm going to do a video from start to finish on how I diagnosed it. Basically acting like I don't know what's wrong, so that way I can show other people on YouTube, if somebody out there in the world, because that's not even fish related. There's so many people have dehumidifiers that just have them for their basements. I can't be the only person that's had one break. But this could be a free fix. And it only took me, I don't know, 15 minutes to figure out what was wrong. It was very easy to take it apart. It was just kind of figuring out how the plastic panels came apart. And all I needed was a Phillips screwdriver. That's all I used to figure out that the pump didn't work. So I want to do a video on that. And that way people on YouTube, homeowners, fish people, car people that have dehumidifiers, it's such a broad range. I just want to document that process, and then people can use that process to figure out other things that are wrong throughout their lives and get that out there. So if you guys would hit that sub button on the second channel, I really appreciate it. Because that's something I need to do anyways. And what I want to do is, I don't want to say film my life day to day, but film things I'm doing, because I really enjoy fixing things. So if it's fish related, it'll be on this channel. If it's not fish related, it'll be on that channel. That's kind of on the fence. Let me know what you think about if that one should be on both channels, because there's a lot of people that run dehumidifiers in their fish room. So I might end up doing a double post. I'll post it on that channel and post it on this channel. And that way, if you guys ever run, because there might be people on here that are watching that have a dehumidifier in their basement, but they don't have a fish room. So I don't know. I guess it depends on if you guys like the hands-on stuff. But I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys. I really do. I felt like I saw a question somewhere. Papa Shrimp Aquatics, which is Jerry. Hey Steven, Happy New Year, bro. Jerry, I hope all is well with you. And Papa Shrimp Aquatics, that's one of the routes I'll probably be going. Now my brain's going squirrel. When I was talking about getting rid of the hard goods and going to fish only that I'm breeding and plants, the one of my wholesale fish companies was curious about me supplying them with shrimp. So I might start producing more and more shrimp. And so some of the tanks out in the fish room, once they move to the garage, will probably become shrimp tanks. And I just like shrimp, so you might see me starting to do heavier breeding on shrimp, and I'm hoping I can get the Blue Dreams that I got going that are really nice. I hope to get those. I bought some from Lucas Brett's. I hope to get everything just mass producing shrimp and getting the prices down, because Blue Dreams are expensive, and I would really love to get the pricing down on those to get those out more, because they're super awesome. Metalhead Prime says, wanting access to your book sounds like what Amazon does. We kind of do the same thing where I work. Amazon reps actually come in and inspect us. Like, I'm an online reseller. Like, you can see if I'm selling at the correct price or not. Like, you don't need to know all my personal stuff. That's my opinion. Like, if I design a product, let's say I had a winner with this root tab, and it somehow blew up in popularity and everybody's buying it, and now other companies want to sell it, right? If they buy it for the price I want, to me, it's on them. That's yours. You know, maybe I do a map like, hey, I'll sell you a 10 pack of these for $4. You have to sell it for $8 to keep like the product value up there or whatever, right? I don't need to see your books. Okay, you sold some to your buddy for $5. I don't care. Like, to me, like, you're buying my product. Like, as long as you're buying my product, cool. I don't know. I don't like that. I guess I'm weird. Where am I at? Mainly Beta said, I'm a big Hikari fan. I don't like to hear that. Hikari's got good foods, and the thing I love about Hikari is their advertising is very good. Their product labels on all their food packaging is really good. It's very eye-catching. It's very to the point. You can look at a picture and know what the food is. The foods aren't bad. I just didn't like the business side of what they were trying to do. And it's like, it's a good food. And from what I've used, the Northfin's a good food. It's like, okay, we're even. Well, let's take Hikari down a notch because they want to be in all my business. So that just puts Northfin, a notch above. So, and with Mike using it and really liking the Northfin, like, that's kind of what drove me into testing it. And the thing with Northfin is you can see the bags. They're very plain. They're just colored bags with like a label on it. Where Hikari goes into like advertising like crazy with all of the colors and the shiny stuff. Like, they're very eye catching. Which, if I had a retail store, all day long, because somebody's going to be drawn to that bag. The Northfin food, they're very plain looking bags. But I feel like with fish rooms and hobbyists, most people, I would think, agree it's about what's in the bag. It's like, don't judge a book by its cover. If the food's better, it's a better product. And with, I do try a bunch of foods. I do have the Extreme Krill right here. it's a good food. It really is. You can get this at Aquarium Co-op. And I honestly, this is the only flake food I use. I typically use, and I'll put some in this rainbow tank because I haven't fed them. I typically use the Tetracolor Tropical Granules because it's inexpensive for the amount of food you get. And what I like about the granules is, if you're feeding a fry tank, you just smash up the granules smaller. If you're feeding a bigger tank, let's say like this tank, which, here's the granules. So this is like a little small one. I just refill this with the bigger jar. You don't crush it up. And I actually, let's go for a walk. We still got people in here. Let's go for a walk. I'll show you a little device I made for the Tetracolor granules. I'm starting to lose my voice, so hopefully it will hold out here for a minute. So over the summer I bought, actually I don't even know how many I bought. 20, 25, I don't know. 20 or 25 Aquarium Co-op Easy Feeders. Yeah, there's a picture. Easy Feeders. I use the Eheim feeders, the auto feeders. These are auto fish food feeders, if you don't know. I use the Eheim. I like the Eheim. They've been bulletproof. The thing is, I have 55 fish tanks, and I want to try to automate feeding as much as possible. There's a Co-op feeder right there on the Barbados tank, and it came down to dollars. The Co-op feeder was, I don't know, let's say $4 cheaper than the Eheim. Well, when you're buying 25 of them, $4 a pop added up. So I bought, well, here we go. So this is what I was doing last night. Let me flip you around. So there's a case of feeders. The other case is over there, right? So what I started doing last night was getting these guys out. So I bought them all and I never set them up. Getting them out. So you have to fill these things up with food, which there's 25 of these. It's actually a lot of fish food. The problem I have is the Tetra granules inside the cans, which is right here. I buy a case of these at a time. I think there's, I was going to say 12, but I actually think it's more than that. There's at least 12 of these in a case. I do that every, like, once a month. There's big granules, and then just from being in here, you start getting, like, powder and stuff. Sorry, guys, I am losing my voice. So, I'm getting to show you guys here something, so hey, bear with me. The problem is, the shrimp tank, I always grind up the granules into, like, a powder for the shrimp. The Diamond Tetra tanks, I try to get the thick granules, because they're bigger fish. Well, when you have an auto feeder, you would have to sit there. You'd have to take the food compartment off, and then, say, if I want to use this on the shrimp tank, you got to sit there and grind up the fish food to fill that sucker up. And I'm like, I don't want to do that on 25 tanks. So I printed this off with my 3D printer. Doesn't look like anything, right? So you got this thing. On eBay, they sell like a 10-pack of stainless steel mesh in different sizes. So this is like medium-ish. This one looks the same, but it's technically a little bit smaller. This one's a little bit smaller. This one's gigantic, right? So think of a sieve, right? So I ordered these first. Got the measurements. Let's say they're 6" by 6". Print off a 6" by 6" frame. The metal just, it's a tight fit. It fits in there. I'm going to flip you guys around now. This is what I did the other night. Oh, it's stuck. So that is all sized granules. That I believe. I can't remember where I left off. But let's say that's all this size. you take the granules, and I'm sure you guys all know where I'm going with this. You take your granules. I'm doing this through a camera, so I might mess this up. You set it on top, and you shake it over the container. Anything that's smaller will fall through. You guys kind of get it. So I do that. I only use actually like 2 screen sizes, this size and then one other. Gives me the big stuff. So let's say this is all the big stuff, and actually this jar was all the big catchings. That's why nothing fell through. I just remembered. Oh, and by the way, dogs love this fish food. Don't ask me how I know. I didn't feed it to the dogs, but dogs love Tetracolor tropical granules, especially Havana. Don't ask me how I know. All right, so now this is all the big thick stuff. I put the big thick stuff into this one. This one would go on the Diamond Tetra tank, right? This is, let's say, medium grit. I can refine it further down, you know, take a smaller mesh. Hopefully I can do this one-handed. It just kind of, well, I won't look like a dummy trying to do this. There. I made it like a tight fit. It goes in there. Now this is going to make it finer. So like the dust will go down there. The medium stuff stays in here. I can put that into that one and feed like the glow light tetras are a little bit smaller. And then with the dust, the really, really fine stuff, which is not really this yet. This is still needs, refined. The dust would go for the shrimp tanks. So I thought about doing a video on this, but I'm like, I don't think people really go this crazy like I do. Because this is a purpose thing because, I got 25 of these I need to set up. And if I was using one style fish food, let's say I was using the Cyclic Gold and it's all 1mm pellets, no problem. If I was using flake food, no problem. Because even flake food, if you don't crush it up, eventually the fish are going to destroy it into a size they can eat. Oh, guys, it must be after 10 o'clock. All the tank lights turned off. Holy cow, we are going crazy tonight. Sorry, I'm putting you back in the tripod. Wi-Fi switches, turn off my lights. Another video that I have out there. Yeah, so, I mean, that might be just like a fish room person thing. But if you got like a couple tanks, you could buy the jar for $10 or whatever, and then you can sift it and sort it into different sizes, and that's what I do. Sorry guys, my throat's getting scratchy from talking. Mike says get a powered pepper mill. I don't know what that is. I honestly have no idea what that is. Yeah, I'll look it up. So I thought about with keeping this PG rated, when you're holding the container, which is this baby one, and then you got the sieve I made, and you're shaking it, like you gotta shake the crap out of that thing. And you do a whole jar, and then you basically move the size of the mesh down, do it again. Your forearm gets a little tired, which I'm glad Big Rich isn't drinking here, because he would run with that in a whole different direction. But I thought about building a electric one. I have an idea in my head how I could 3D print basically like a table, and you just get like a little electric motor, and then you basically make a crankshaft that's offset, so it makes it rotate at a weird angle, and it would just vibrate the tray. And then I can basically automate it where I can just dump some in, and it's basically like a little vibrator table, and or a shaker table, I think it might be called. But yeah. Let me see, where was that? Metalhead said, I like where he's going with that. Show You Fish dropped the link for Steven's Mechanic channel. Thank you. Where am I at? IHSP said, would love to see him Could they refine and start selling it sort of like the pre-made Metten filter PVC kits? I'm almost sold out of the Metten filter kits. Metalhead Prime says, man, it's really hard not to make a joke right now. Yeah, I mean, I kind of said that to make you guys laugh. I was in my head, I was thinking, I should probably not mention this. But, like, you know what? Let's go with it. It's fun. It's Friday night. Sam Signature Series says, just use your fingers to sieve it to not being perverted. Yes, so I actually was doing that. So basically, when I wanted more of the finer, or not finer, but the medium grit, the large grit was on top. I was basically just forcing the fish food through the grate. So I was just basically forcing the size. I think that's what you mean. Sam Signature Series says, on automatic shaker. Love that too. Metalhead Prime says, at Sam, you're not making it easier. Matt F. Did somebody say vibrator? Chevy Fish said, yep, it's Friday after hours. Yeah, I knew where this conversation was going to go. We went from talking about Siebes to not PG. And you like my fancy water bottle? So I don't like buying water, like bottled water, because I think it's a waste of plastics. So I take a milk jug and I use that as a water bottle. And honestly, I stick this whole thing in the dishwasher once a week just to clean it, but it just only holds water. But yeah, so I try to drink a half a gallon after I get home from work a day. So I got a while to go. I try to drink a gallon of water a day. During the summer, that's super easy. If not, I drink more than a gallon, but during winter, this is how I force myself to drink water. But right now, because I'm talking so much, I'm not drinking, but this is normally gone by now. Where am I at? Richard says, have you got any progress on your OFAR tank? To be honest, no. So really, before I could do anything with either tank, as far as livestock or setting it up, the garage needs to be insulated and heated. Those tanks are going to stay in the garage. One's going to go into the wall, so I can view it from inside the house, but the tank physically will be in the garage. I'm going to flush it into the wall. The 250 needs resealed. It's an acrylic tank. The end panels wasn't glued properly from the manufacturer, and it's splitting. So I need to reseal it. That's going to be a video. Josh gave me a piece of advice, and I'm going to be smart and take his advice. So I bought the acrylic glue. It's called Weld-On. They have different thicknesses. I was going to re-glue the seam. Well, he also suggested that I take acrylic rod and put a piece of acrylic rod in that corner, because that will help reinforce that seam just to be sure. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I think what I'm going to do is just buy square acrylic rod off like eBay. It's super inexpensive. And what I'm going to do is re-seam the tank first, and then I'm going to drop the rod in and glue that into the corners, just as like some extra bracing to make it all extra tight. And then once I do that, I'm going to put water in it and make sure it holds, and then go from there. IHSP says, it's only 9 p.m. my time, but I think I'm about to fall out. Steven, talk me to sleep, please. You know, it's 9 o'clock there. It's 10 o'clock here. And I can't believe we are still rolling. This is awesome. I can always tell, like, when I have a good topic, I have no problem going over that hour mark. But, it's all fun and games until the swear jar is needed. Big Rich got slapped on his hand tonight. I'm reading back through some of the chats about the sieve. Sam says, "Yay for Eheim." I really do like the Eheim. It's a good auto feeder. Haven't had a single issue with it. It just, $4, times 25. So that's $100. I saved by buying the co-op ones, and it's a good feeder too. I know that they say they have a 5% failure rate. The only issue, well, granted, I only have like half of them set up, but out of those half that I did set up, months ago, the only issue, which isn't like a big deal, is that the batteries that come with it, they kind of stink. They don't last very long. In the auto feeders, it's basically an automatic timer. So think of a light timer. It's got a little needle that constantly spins, and as it goes around, it's like a big watch. It's seconds, minutes, hours. It's a 24-hour system. Let's take another walk, guys. So the batteries, they don't last super long, and I'm sure they're just some cheapy Chinese ones, which I get, no problem. I'm not expecting a Duralast battery. All of the lights are off in the house because everything's on Wi-Fi timers. Oh my gosh. Let me grab this. And then we'll go... Well, I was going to say go in the fish room because the lights are brighter, but it's not going to be that much brighter. So with the batteries... Boom. Amazon to the rescue. 4-pack rechargeables. Here's 4 4-packs, and then I already opened 2 4-packs. So I'm replacing. You can see right here, you got the little needle that turns. That's like the seconds. The green knob is like the minutes, and then the yellow one's the hours. I just replaced them with rechargeables because why buy batteries for 25 things, then I don't know how long they'll last. Even if I buy Energizers, these rechargeable batteries are not that expensive, and I use them in basically anything that requires batteries. So the remote controls for like the television, for the Xbox, I was going to say for the drone, but it's got a built-in battery. Basically anything that needs batteries, rechargeable. The clock on the wall, right there, rechargeable. Smoke detectors. You're supposed to change out your batteries once a year on your smoke detectors, whether they beep or not. I'm pro rechargeables, really am. And with Amazon, they have like Amazon Basics. Put you back in the tripod. It's really not that expensive, and especially if you have something that consumes the batteries a lot, like the Xbox controller. That was the main reason I went to rechargeable, because that thing will kill batteries like once a week. And yeah, so I started putting battery, like when the co-op batteries die, I just been putting rechargeables in it. But not a big deal. So it's not broken. They're definitely, I haven't had a broken one. Just the batteries suck. I feel like odds are, out of the 20 or 25, however many I buy, I forget. Out of however many I buy, I probably will have a broken one. It's just the odds. Not a big deal. And to be honest, I bought them so long ago, I would even call them or email them to tell them I broke one or one's broken. Because I'm not that person that's going to buy something and then even Scout's Honor, I don't use it for a year, still in a brand new box. Even if it was broken when I got it out of the box, I'm not going to be that guy that's like, hey, so I bought this from you from a year ago. I didn't use it. I opened the box and it's DOA. I'm like, I'm not that guy. I won't do that. But so far, I haven't had any broken ones. They've all worked fine. Just the battery life sucks. That's it. And they only take one battery anyways, so it's not a big deal. Maybe we'll see how long the rechargeables last. If the rechargeable ones last the same amount of time, then it's not a shitty battery. It's just the unit consumes a lot of electricity, always turning that knob or something. I don't know. Maybe it needs 2 batteries in it. It only holds 1, but I like it. It's, I see online people's feedback. They wish it was like black. Corey's talked about how the reason why it's green is because the molds were already running green color, and black's a pain in the butt to run, and it was going to cost a ton of money. So they just went ahead and used green because that's what they already have. I'm running a fish room. I'm not running like displays. Now, if it was a display, I would just black. That's what I would want, would be black, because it kind of hides it more. It's a fish room. I need it to do its job, which is feed the fish 3 times a day, so I don't have to. And that might sound bad, but it's when there's 55 tanks. Right now, I have probably only 6 tanks on auto feeders. So that's 6 less tanks I have to feed every day, which is a big deal. And those are actually on the tanks I'm trying to pump up as far as output. So it's on the shrimp tanks. Did I put one on the Vienna guppies? You know what? I meant to put one on the Vienna guppies, but I didn't have batteries charged yet, because those are like brand new batteries. They need to be charged. I just charged them up, so I need to actually go do that. But I need to sift more of the tetra granules first. So that's what I'm doing tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to get the Vienna guppies on auto feeders, and I'll probably pump them up to probably 5 times a day. So I usually do like 9 a.m. or not 9 a.m. I do noon, 3, and 6. But if I'm trying to like pump out volume for like breeding for profit, I'll do 9, 11, 3, 5, and 7. It's a weird. It's not like every 2 hours. It's like 2 hour and then like a 3 hour jump and then 2 hour, 2 hour, something like that. Because those, they would eat nonstop if they could. Here's Charlotte. You guys haven't seen Charlotte in a while tonight. She is all up in my face. Crystal's Pets and Plants is here. Hello. I'm trying to see. There's ONIP tab sitting here. I'm trying to see. Charlotte's got a really strong sense of smell. I'm guessing it's because of Dalmatian breed. You know, she can definitely smell way better than Havana. She notices things. It could be she's deaf and maybe her sense of smell is heightened. I'm guessing it's her breed though, or it could be both. But she can find some fish food, and I got. So this is funny. There's some candy here. Root beer barrels. Now, I told my buddy I was playing a game with the other day. He's like, "Oh, what candy do you have?" And I told him root beer barrels. He's like, "What?" I was like, "I didn't buy them. I got them for Christmas." I like root beer. And I think my sister got me that as like a stocking stuffer. But she just had her nose in it. She sees herself on the YouTube stream. Oh, now she don't care. I was like, oh, she sees herself. Anyways, I think I'm losing you guys. I'm losing myself now. My throat's actually starting to really hurt. I thought I saw. Okay, I did see a. I don't want to miss a super chat. I did see it. Where'd it go? My chat's all over the place. Mainly betas. Newer subscriber, but what I like most about your channel, you make us feel like you are just one of us, my friend. Really enjoy your channel. 100. Thank you so much. I guess I just try to be myself-ish. So, you know, there's some things where I do edit my videos to get rid of, like, the stupid stuff that I think, like, when I watch it, I'm like, I just made myself look really dumb. Now, there's some stuff I leave in there for, like, the comedy of it, but I try to keep it real with you guys. You know, I started off, it was a hobby that was kind of a, I don't want to say necessity in my life. It was a way to deal with some physical issues I was having. I've talked about it before. I had this heart issue a couple of years ago. Coming up on 3 years ago now. I had this heart issue where I actually they stopped my heart on purpose a couple times in an ambulance, and then they use, I call it the electric paddles. It really wasn't paddles. It's these sticky pads that they put one on your chest, one on your side, and like, you know, the whole like clear. It's like that, but they don't have paddles. They did that to me, and after that experience, I had really, really bad panic attacks from that whole. Basically, like, I don't want to say PTSD and like try to like make it something it's not, but I had this like traumatic experience with that whole heart issue and them doing that to me, that I was getting anxiety, full on panic attacks, like super really bad panic attacks. Never had them before in my life. And fish tanks actually was kind of like a zen thing for me. That's what got me into the hobby, was actually that um, medical problem. And then it went from having a couple tanks and tinkering with them, was a lot of fun, to I wanted shrimp. And so I needed another tank for shrimp. And I didn't know where to put it. I'm like, and I started seeing like fish room tours. And I was like, holy cow, that looks like fun to build. I just wanted to build like the water system. That's what was my motivation, was to do the water change system with having the tubes and the pipes, and it was fun. So I built one, and only that whole first rack system, I still have it, held 5 tanks, and it was this elaborate plumbing scheme with the barrel up in the ceiling deal for 5 tanks for shrimp. And I still have it. That system will go away for sure, because it's very poor as far as usage of space for tanks. It's got 310s and 220 longs when it could really have like, and I have them sideways like this tank, so I could see it. It was like a display tank rack, which soon turned into, I'm trying to breed shrimp because you know, I started with 10 shrimp from Flip Aquatics years ago, and then they were breeding and I was selling them. I'm like, man, I can make good money selling these shrimp. So I started to. And then it was like, I kind of want to like document this. Like, this is fun. So my YouTube channel started, I think right before I started my fish room, because I think one of my first videos was like talking about how I want to build a fish room. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. But yeah, so I lay it out there, and then I was talking about being real in the video on my other channel, the mechanic channel, doing the starter replacement on this BMW, showing you like the viewers how to replace the starter. Like, you gotta undo this bolt. Like, I was trying to be like detailed enough that anybody could do it on their own car. As long as you got the hand tools, you could do it, right? Well, in one part of the video, I went to pull my socket out of the intake manifold part on a car. If you're not like car savvy, I went to pull it out and I dropped my socket like down into the engine. Well, I could just edit that to where you never even saw that, like, cause it's like a stupid little thing that happened. Like, I don't feel bad about it. Like, I drop tools all the time, but like as soon as it happened, literally my response was like, ah, crap, like, because I knew it's going to be gone. I did get it back because it was in the process of taking everything apart, so I ended up getting it back. But I was like, ah, crap. Well, I left that in the video. I was like, you know, I made a mistake. Like, it's not like my fault mistake. I dropped something, but I left it in there. Like, I try to, I guess you got balanced videos that are trying to be educational / trying to be like a vlog, just showing you what I'm doing, with some comedy, because you gotta be engaged with your audience. And you know, some of the videos where I'm trying to be educational about showing how I do things really don't get that great of like views or response on YouTube. It's like the random stuff I do that gets like really good views, so it's hard to judge. Like, there's sometimes where I do a video where it's like, man, people are gonna love this because this is really good info, it's a good like life hack or whatever. And then like, like, people watched it, but like it shows me how long people watch a video for. So like, say if it's a 6-minute long video and they watch it for 3 minutes, it shows like, hey, your average viewer only watched it for 50% of the time or whatever. Like, I see those statistics, so I can tell what video is doing good typically, and I can tell where my fan base is from. If it's OFR related, you guys love it. So you know, with the OFR 2 tanks, the 200 gallon and the 250, you know, those are things I want to keep focusing on and doing because you guys love that stuff. And what's crazy is the amount of views I can get versus subs. So if, for every video that gets like 10,000 views, which I only have like 1 or 2 videos that are there. But let's say every 1,000 views, only 500 are subs. The rest are non-subs. I think it's like something like 68, 69% of all my views are non-subscribers. Which I think I'm at like 130-ish, 120,000 views. So that's a lot of views that are not subs. So if you're not subscribed, hit that sub button. Please and thank you. Xanadudu says co-op tabs suck the plant. They're big, and with problem with tabs is, you know, even mine are going to have some air in them. So that's why I try to get the smallest tab possible. Tabs, I don't like planting tabs either because, you know, I use the tweezers to try to keep as much of my arm out of tanks as possible. You gotta like push it down the substrate and like try to open the thing without as soon as you open the tweezers, that just creates a gap for that tab to fly back up. So you almost have to kind of go in at an angle to get it under the substrate and kind of dig it in there. Like, I don't know, there's a science to it. That's why I was talking about making like a root tab injector, where it's like a big syringe and you just like, you know, like just shoot one into your substrate. I think that'd be kind of cool. Mainly Beta says all co-ops is some Osmocote stuffed in a capsule. I have no idea what's inside theirs. I've never even taken one apart. I don't know. There's no like fillers or anything in mine. Here's the ingredients right here. Nilo Aquatics dry fertilizers. At a certain ratio. I mean, I can show you what I use. Like, if you want to make your own, you can make your own. I'm not going to tell you what formula I'm using, but it's calcium sulfate. It's the Plantex CSM plus B, and potassium nitrate is what version 1.0 is what I'll call it. Codename 1.0 is what I'm using right now to test, and then we'll get into seeing if there's anything else I want to do as far as adding stuff. But there's 3 bags I just showed you. Those aren't just like one ingredient. They're made up of multiple things. You know, I have the list. So if you think I'm reading something, I am. I made a list of ingredients of what's in this one little tab. So you got nitrogen, soluble potash, magnesium, copper, which you're thinking copper, shrimp safe? Yes, these are shrimp safe. It's 0.1%. Copper, iron, manganese, zinc, boron, EDTA, calcium sulfate, dihydrate, and then straight calcium and sulfur. So we'll see. It's going to be a while. So I'm going to send some of these out for people to test, and then, you know, well, I'll probably test it myself first, because if I don't see any growth, then I don't want to send it out and have somebody else waste 3 weeks of their time trying to see if it works. So I'm going to test it here first, see what happens, and then go from there. Because these are the fertilizers that I use for like I said earlier, for dosing the water column. I'm just putting it in a root tab to get it to the roots. Hence root tab, right? So we'll see how it goes. You know, it's a formula that I'm messing with, and, you know, I can change. I have it set to where these 3 are what's in there, but I can change the ratios of everything around. So that's the part I gotta play with. You know, maybe I got too much of the CSM plus B in it, or I don't have enough. You know, it's all testing, really. So unfortunately, with root plants, like Mike said, what did he say? It took I forget what I said earlier. It takes at least 3 weeks for him to notice the difference with root tabs. Um, there's motion at my front door. Probably a raccoon. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be at least a 3-week process, right? I'm sure I might be missing some questions. Mainly Beta says Chem 10 pack at PetSmart is half the price of anywhere else, usually around $6, which is a great price. Brian Kish, what do you recommend if my fish catch TOVID? So you guys might think that might be a spammer, but that's actually my cousin. Brian is down in Florida, and he's talking about TOVID because so my cousin Brian, who's in Florida, and then a couple of his buddies that are in New Jersey, we all have game nights, Thursday nights. We have a game night for a few hours, and one of the guys in New Jersey, we were talking this week, his toe was purple, and then so he went to urgent care to get it checked out, why is my toe purple? And when he took his sock off, his whole foot went purple or swelled up or whatever. So they're like, you should probably go to the ER. So they went to the ER and they looked at it and they said, we think you have COVID toes. I never even heard of this. So COVID toes is a symptom of COVID, that your toes turn purple, right? Well, he called it COVID toes. Well, I came up with the name TOVID. Toes and COVID, TOVID. So that's I know this is weird. I'm explaining what that comment was, but yeah, that's my cousin. He's just poking some fun. Jesse says, cheers. Well, cheers, buddy. Scrolling. Thanks for the tip on Northern Beta Bites for foods. Yes, it actually works really well. When I had the whole rack of betas, I was using the big bag of beta bits, and then I was like, man, this is a really good size for the guppies. So I started feeding it to all the tanks. Richard says, sub to both. Appreciate you. Really do. Sam said, I thought I was subbed. Just did. Well, thank you. IHSP says, Steven's moving up in the world. One channel at a time, right? The second channel is just going to be stuff I already do. It's not like, I'm doing the fish stuff less. Nope, I'm already doing this. I'm just recording it. And, the non-fish stuff I post on the channel was a hit or miss. Half you guys like no matter what I do, which is cool. And half you guys just like fish stuff, which is also cool. I get it. I'm an aquatics channel. But I thought, well, if I'm going to record it, might as well put it out there. And if you guys like no matter what I do, you'll sub to the other channel. And if you don't like the other stuff, then you won't. So it's kind of a win-win, I guess. Let me see. Where am I at? Guys, we're coming up 2 minutes away from 2 hours of the live stream. It went by quick, which is fun. It's a lot of fun. Crystal Pets and Plants, hello. I think I talked about. I already said hello to you. Sorry. Sam says Steven needs Hawaii. Hawaii would be fun. I've never been. Oh, my chat is all over the place. Now I'm back to that peppermill thing. So normally it jumps all the way to the bottom. Now I'm somehow jump all the way up. Okay, I think I'm back at the bottom. I had bad flukes and used copper treatment was something I thought of, but yes, that small amount is fine even with shrimp. Yes, so shrimp actually need, from what I've read, they actually do need copper in their diet. They just need trace amounts. And pretty much most fertilizers, as far as I know, has copper in it. and they're completely safe for shrimp and snails. The only time that you gotta really worry about copper is like when it's a copper treatment for a fish issue. When you're dosing like a copper medication, that's when you're gonna have shrimp issues. But as far as I know, most fertilizers already have copper in them. Okay, I think I'm gonna try to call this quits in like 30 seconds. It says I started streaming 100 and nope, 2 hours ago. It just changed. Um, check valves on air pumps. What are we? My chat's all over. I'm sure somebody's talking about some of the air pumps. Metalhead Prime at SC. Do you ever shake cars or trucks to get your sockets back? So here's the thing. I work on German cars, and all the German cars have the whole underside of their cars are completely closed off with belly shields. It's not like just the one shield like my 1992 Honda Civic had one like right under the engine. No, the German cars, there's not an inch of space open except for like where the muffler is. So you could shake the crap out of a car and nothing's going to fall out because they have those belly shields underneath to for aerodynamic reasons. But you know the other thing we always joke about is it catches the oil leaks. Um, but yeah, so that's another thing. Car advice: you could have an oil leak if you got a newer car. Your car probably has an undershield or a belly shield. You could have an oil leak that your mechanic finds doing inspection or an oil change. They take that shield down, like your oil pan's leaking, but you'd be like, no, it's not. Like I have no oil drips on my floor. Well, it's because it's dripping onto this catch pan, and it's all in that pan. Just throwing that out there as a side tip, just so you know. Um, Sam said I replace many things watching YouTube. Yep, there's all the time. I'm searching YouTube because chances are somebody else has already gone through the pain of figuring out how to fix something, and you know that could be even car related. You know, for me, like what I mean is like, you know, working for BMW might be like, what is this crazy problem that I'm having? I could spend 3 hours trying to diagnose this, or let me do a Google search real quick. And especially with car forums, these people are like so into like problems with their cars. Even if it's not a problem, it could be something completely normal. They'll post about it online. Like they have to tell somebody about their issues. But every once in a while, a blind squirrel finds its nut, and somebody will have a problem on there that could save me. If it saves me hours of trying to figure something out, that's money in my pocket. Is how I look at it. And luckily, Audi Technicians has a private group where you have to be an Audi tech to be in it, but we can share information because the way dealerships work, I have my coworkers and we work with each other, right? So if I got a problem I can't figure out, like, hey Mikey, like, have you seen this? You got any ideas? Like, what do you think? Blah blah. Bounce ideas off each other, but that's it. And let's say there's 10 of us mechanics at my dealer, we see these certain problems. Now, if you got 300 dealers nationwide, and you get those guys into a group chat, or not group chat, but like a forum, that's, thousands of techs that might have seen this issue that can help you out. I'm motioning in my driveway now. That raccoon's moving around. So no, like, online, it's a good resource, like, because there's a lot of times when people will ask for help, and you can do a search, like, I wonder if somebody has this code, or whatever. But internet's a really good resource. But anyways, guys, we are over the 2 hours. Oh, I hate stupid people said at SC when I get my tax return, I'm replacing my lights on all my tanks. You'll be getting an email from me when the time comes to make sure you have all the stock available. So let me know what lights you're looking for, and if you're trying to replace a bunch of lights, I'll cut you a deal, like a bulk buy or whatever. And if it's enough lights and I don't have them, I can always order them in. I can special order them in. Typically with like orders, I had to spend like at least $400 per like wholesaler. So like for instance, if I'm buying certain food products that only one wholesaler A has, I have to buy $400, or it might be wholesaler B be $400. Oh, speaking of wholesalers, so I'm thinking about doing the. Okay, you said 68 of the Stingrays. So I have certain ones in stock, but I do need to do a Phoenix order because the nano filters, which is on this little cube tank over here, those sold out and they sold really well. I need to get more of those. So when I order those, I'll get more lights. Maybe I'll just hold off until whenever you're ready. No rush or anything, but it's a good idea. Chevy Fish, you aren't showing as a mod. I thought you were. Okay, I'm on 2 devices. I was like, yeah, you are a mod. Okay, Matt said YouTube often fails me. I've watched 20 videos on acrylic restoration, including yours, Steven, and my 180 is still sitting on the floor and not installed, the 242. What are you trying to do? Because I'm going to do another acrylic video on the 200. 200 doesn't need like restored, it's clear, but just has some like light scratches, so I'm going to just basically buff it, because once the tank's installed, there's no draining it, especially once it's planted, to try to get like any kind of minimum scratches out. So the tank's empty, so it'd be dumb for me not to just like do a preventative buff. But there's like some real light scratches that are really not noticeable, but I'm like, you know what, let me take care of this while it's empty. So that video might come out sooner because I don't need the fish room set up to do that. I can just go out in the garage and buff it. I probably need to get some light out there, which I got this little like handy, it mounts onto like a tripod or onto a camera, but it's a light and it's adjustable, dim to super bright. So I can probably go out there and put that in the tank and maybe use that to try to get some light on the scratches. But it had some scratches. I sanded 400, then 800, then 1000, then 2000. The Novus 2 polisher. It is horrible now. I've redone the polishing over and over and over. Is it just like foggy looking? Like, is it smooth but it's like frosted? Because, I mean, the tank I did was, it was not clear. You said, oops, Nova 3 then 2. I don't know what that is. It's scratched horrible now. Okay, so it's... Wish I could explain it. So I'm guessing, is it like swirl marks and stuff? Like, does it look like Velcro swirls? If that's the case, you gotta keep going finer on your sanding before you polish it. Basically, before you polish it, it should be really perfectly smooth. There shouldn't be any scratches. If it swirls, that's because it's not a fine enough grit, or something got into the finer grit you got. So, like, what I mean by that is, so as you're sanding, like say you hit that 2000, if it was building up material, that material, even though it's like dust, can technically scratch it too. So once you get above, I would say really, almost the whole time I probably would just use wet sanding. Make sure the sandpaper is wet the whole time. I was thinking you start at 400. I'm thinking even at 400, I probably still would wet sand it. That helps keep the sandpaper from getting clogged up. But if you got the tiny little swirls, that just means you gotta keep going finer, because that's all you're doing to make acrylic clear. All you're doing is polishing it, which polishing is just finer and finer and finer sanding. And then, yeah, I don't know what the, where to go, the Novus 2 and 3 are. If that's a product or if that's the actual polisher. I use, in my video, I use car compounds because that's what I had. And it's the same concept because we polish headlights. Because like headlights start getting yellow and foggy, and it's because they're all plastic these days. All that is sanding that out and then polishing it smooth, and that's what gives it crystal clear. So like this OFR tank, it's got light scratches. I probably will not sand it at all. I'll probably just go straight for polish. And then with polishes, you have the different grits, which I'm guessing that's what maybe you're talking about with the 3 and 2. Novus is big in acrylic tank polishing. Yeah, so like when it comes to polishing, it doesn't matter if it's for acrylic tanks or for a car. It's the same thing. So really, you could look at, I mean, it shouldn't matter. A polisher is a polisher. All a polisher is it either spins as... Could you guys hear Charlotte bark? She's got that high-pitched bark. It's so bad. It sucks at 5 in the morning, too. I'm going to flip you around to show you what I'm looking at. Oh, here she comes. She was staring at my bedroom door. She wants to go to bed. So let me go open the door for her so she can go to bed. So, or we have what's called like a random orbital, or a DA, which stands for dual action. I just use a standard polisher. I don't use like a random orbit one or anything like that. I think she wants to come polish my tank. That's how I got this tank. This tank was actually given to me because the previous owner was trying to fix scratches and got all kind of like what you're saying, like all real light scratches, and it was all hazy. Couldn't see into it. He's like, look, I'm not using it. Do you want it? I'm like, you know what? I'll try to make a video and see if I can do anything with it. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not out any money. And I got some car products I think will work, and boom, worked perfect. I used the same drill pads you used. Yeah, like, I'm guessing you either need to go finer on the sandpaper, which sucks because every time you sand, sanding is putting scratches into the product. That's what polishing is. You're basically adding finer and finer scratches. So like for steel, this might be a bad example. This is not really mirror. This is chrome. It's just a pencil holder. You can polish steel to a mirror finish. All you're doing is scratching it so fine that you make it reflective. So you can take a rusty piece of steel and you sand it, and then you get finer, finer, finer. And you can go finer on the 2000 grit paper. You can go even finer than that. It's just so much work. Honestly, I probably would have started a little bit higher on the grit. Like as in finer, instead of 400, I probably would have started at like 1,000 or higher. Just because I know all the work it goes into getting those scratches out. It could be those scratches are still left over from the 400. It could be something like that. To be honest, you didn't ruin it. It might look bad, but it can be fixed. It really can. If you were local, I was about to say I would, if you wanted to pay, I would probably get it fixed for you. But you super chat so much, I'd probably hook you up. But it's just a lot of work. It's yeah. And then, did you sand that by hand, or did you use like the polisher itself with sandpaper? Because that would be the move too, is to use like sand. Guys, I'm getting in trouble here. Oh my gosh. Alright, so I'm going to have to call it quits because Charlotte is now getting hangry at me. Oh, here she comes. She's telling me, get off the internet, Dad. I'm going to call it quits and my throat hurts. So, thank you guys so much for the Super Chats. If I missed any, I am truly sorry. But I do appreciate them. I appreciate the new subs on the second channel. We went for over 2 hours tonight. That's awesome. No innuendos there. Sam, I'm sure you're probably going to run with that somehow. And Metalhead Prime. But anyways, guys, it's time to go to bed. Multi-tank addiction sounds like Duke when it's time for bed. Yeah, Havana's got this deep bark, and Charlotte's got this high-pitched one. It's ear-piercing. It sucks. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for everything. Thank you for the new members and the Super Chats, the subs, hanging out with me on Friday night, all the fishy, fun things. And I'll see you guys next Friday. And Charlotte, appreciate you guys letting me take off. But have a good night, guys. Have a good weekend. Oh my gosh, now she's looking at me. See you guys.